So previously we've put on the stage some ships ready for us to get them moving across, but we also want to display on the stage some text. So let's start doing that. So first of all, I'm going to add in a variable here called txt, get that right, txt, and another one called play, which is going to dictate whether we're actually playing or not. So let's get going with that. So txt equals new text, and I just want to display the score. So at the moment I'm just going to hard code in a 0, but we're dynamically going to change that in a little while. It's 24 pixels, it's Arial, and the color will be white because we've got a dark background for the space texture. So then we say that txt, we set the text baseline to equal, actually inverted commas, top. Text x is going to equal 800, so it's going to be over the right hand side of the stage, and the y is just going to be 20 pixels down, so up at the top there. Then we say on the stage, add child text, and then finally we're going to say that that variable play equals true because we're going to be playing, and we're going to get rid of the stage update because that's going to happen inside the tick. So we need to set that up so that we have something happening every single frame. I'll set up a frame rate, and that's the ticker. So we've got the ticker going, and it calls the tick function. So inside here we will start to organize our content and move it across the screen. So if play equals true, which it does because we just set it to equal true as it starts up, but it will equal false at different parts of the project. So we say var l equals the bitmap list length, and that is the array that we set up last time around. And we're going to do the for loop, which we explained in the last tutorial, last part of the tutorial, quite in depth, so we're not going to talk about it now because we just want to crack on and get to some more interesting stuff. And all this is doing really is just looping through all of that, all of the ships, so that we can manipulate each one instead of just having one move at a time. So inside here we'll have just a quick variable we'll set up, and that's going to be whichever one we're currently on, bitmap list I, and we're going to say here that if this particular bitmap, which is the spaceship, if its x position is greater than -200. Okay, so where's -200? Well, this is 0 over this way, so -200 means it's left the stage on our left hand side. If it's left the stage, we're going to do something with it at that point as well. So if it hasn't and it's still on there, if it's greater than that -200, then we're going to move it backwards via the bitmaps speed property. Okay, else if we have actually gone past that -200 point, then actually it's game over. You've kind of reached the end of where we want to be. So let's just put in there game over, which is going to be the name of a function we're going to call. So I've commented it out for now, and right now all we're going to do is just put in there game over, and we're going to look at that in the console log so that it would tell us, yeah, game over, we've hit the end of where we can be. Great, so we've got all of these things going on here. if we hit anything, we want to update the text. So the text element should be lowercase text equals score colon space plus score. And now we call that stage update. Actually, I've got that pasted in. So now what we should see is when we refresh this, the different ships moving across the screen. We can't do anything, we can't click them yet, we've not got that far. And how do we know whether that game over has been triggered? Well, we're going to develop, start debugging JavaScript, go into the console, and the game over has been fired a number of times. We can dock it if we want to as well. Great. So that's all working so far. Next thing that we want to do is start to look at how we can actually run that game over function that we've got here, and then we can also start thinking as well about adding the proper interactivity to this, because it's just all static at the moment. So let's create that function game over. So we get our closing bracket going as well. Now what we're going to do here is create for ourselves some new text. So actually let's go to the top, create a new variable for that. So we've got our game text variable, and we want to display on the screen that it's going to say game over at this point, because it's time that we started to explain to people playing what's going on. So we type in here game over, and in actual fact let's put in /n/n, which actually is 2 new lines, so giving us a little bit of space. Let's just say this is going to be 36 pixels, Arial again for simplicity, and our color will be FFF for white. Great. Okay, now what happens if we want to add more text on those new lines below? So we do game.txt plus equals adding to its existing value, click to play again. So instructions there for our users, and then we want to align this to the center, so we used text align equals center, and again we're going to position it on its x-axis in the center of the canvas. So we take the canvas, we take the width property of the canvas, and we divide it by 2. And we do the same with the y position, equals canvas.height. In actual fact, I'm not going to divide it by 2, I'm going to divide it by 3 because of this part here interfering with it about halfway down, so it'll be just a little bit higher up. Should work quite well. Good. Okay, so we've got that. All of that is just getting the text onto the screen. It's still not actually on the screen yet. To do that, we do the add child as previously, and we put in the game text. We're going to set our play variable equals to false, so that we're not keeping on moving all of this stuff across the screen that we did earlier on. Instead, it's going to just pause there and not do anything. And in fact, what we're going to do at this point is have another var l equals, actually we can probably grab it from up here because I'm going to use exactly the same technique as this here. Let's copy and paste that because that will make it quicker. Close the for loop, and what we're going to do, we're going to, for each one of those that we've got, we're going to call that reset enemy to reset them. Cool. So that's done. And in actual fact, I was wondering why that's a little bit over. We've copied and pasted it from somewhere else. So, and then, because we're not running the update all the time necessarily, we're just going to manually call stage update here. And we're also, well, we're going to put an event handler on there. Let's just check that we've done that correctly to start off with. Let's save that and refresh in the browser. Here they go across the screen. Can't do anything yet. Let's wait for one of them to get to the other side. Once it gets to the other side, we're going to see game over. And it's not called the game over function because stupidly I've left it commented out. There we go. Okay, and there's our game over, just as we expected. Great. Let's go back into Dreamweaver and we'll just create a way for us to get that game restarted again. So we type in here canvas onClick equals handle click. So let's create that handler down here. So we have function handle click. So that we turn off the last click by setting it to null. We do stage remove child, and we're going to remove the game text, and we reset the score to 0. We've already reset the enemies, so the last thing to do is say play equals true, and it will start rendering and moving those across the screen again. So we're going to save that. Let's refresh this. I'm going to do it a few times to make sure it fully clears the cache. Ships go across the screen. Game over. Click to play again, and they come back again and start moving. Great. Next thing is the full interactivity. Clicking on these bad boys and making the score go up.